Don't draw a clock, because many kids on the autism spectrum can't read analog clocks, so you have to do digital, okay? And believe it or not, when you get a digital clock and an analog clock in a classroom with kids with disabilities, it's amazing the difference it can make. And sometimes people will post this right up to the clock. Because if you want to teach them how to read that clock, you have to look at this and look at that and say, does it match up? Okay? I don't know if that makes sense. And actually what I did, I made about 20 of these and I gave them to teachers because I had one kid and I said, it was dry erase, and I said, just draw on here when he's done. And we would draw it. And that's all we had to carry around for one kid. Anybody seen the time timer? Okay. So what it is, it's on the iPad. I can show you an example, but I won't. But what it does is it counts down. So when red is gone, your time is up. I use this with kids in my office. It's like coming to a toy store because I have thousands of toys in there. And they go from one to the next, 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 to the next. So I'll set the timer and I say, we have to play for this. What do you pick? One toy. You play with it for 10 minutes. Okay? Depends on the kid. Sometimes it's 2 minutes or whatever. My goal is to increase compliance with me. So I use it. And you know what? They watch the clock. They play with the toy and they watch it. And then they're done with that. And then we start the timer again. Right? Because the hard part is what does it do? Some kids run around and it drives parents nuts because they're doing 1,000 things. They don't put things away very well. Okay? So money, right? Do not enter, go. I've had to put go signs on places kids could go and stop signs on places they couldn't go. Right? Because most of us know what a stop sign is. You don't have to look at it. Most of us know what a, it's amazing how even with, I don't know, anybody stop at a stoplight, but the light is actually green and it's the next light that's red? Anybody ever do that? Okay, somebody's done that, right? Isn't that amazing? You're just paying, you know you gotta pay attention to it if it's a block away, okay? So we're cued to lots of visual stuff. So I'll show you this, a kid I worked with. He had to write this on a schedule. So, no knives, okay? No hammers. This kid was 5 years old, right? So, and when he came to school, he carried blood keys, right? So everybody that I worked with, I said, bring all your old keys in. Can you imagine how many keys he had, right? And then I thought, okay, this kid's aggressive. This isn't very smart, right? Because they're going to throw it and it's going to hurt, right? So we had to have him check his keys in, right? And his backpack in before he went to school. So this is part of the visual support for him, okay? But I had to put these no signs and we'd go through it. For some reason, he left hammers. He'd bring hammers to school, okay? Yeah, it doesn't go well, okay? So we had to do, we put a simple intervention in place for some kids. If you obey the stop sign, every time you obey a stop sign, you get a smiley face, and I had them in my pocket. And once he got at the end, he loved being a janitor. So we made a janitor badge for him. When he got all the tokens, he got to be the building janitor. And we gave him a key. And a staff person walked around with him. He would sweep. And he loved vacuuming. And it was the thing that worked for him. Okay? So, and he loved pipes. For him, he loved pipes. He just wanted to know where pipes did. He loved to look at the boiler room and all that kind of stuff. Okay? So that was his reward. So here's some other examples. You know, people see, what's the one sign in restaurants that you go to? There's one sign in there that you always see in the bathroom. Yeah, the visual support, right? Reminds me to wash my hands. Or sometimes if you're defined, you'd be like, no way in hell I'm going to wash my hands. So, just don't go out to dinner with me, right? So graphic organizer. Most teachers know what a graphic organizer is. Okay, here's an example. It just organizes information in a graphic kind of way, visual kind of way. Okay, they do this all the time. They're in every book, things like that. Okay, washing your body. All right, most kids on the autism spectrum have issues with hygiene. So what I do, make a body. I meant to number this, but you number what you wash in order. You laminate it, put it in the shower. And I couldn't tell you how many kids that has worked for. And I told somebody this, just put in the shower. I was like, that's not going to work. I said, yeah, let's try it. Sure enough, the kid was washing. All he needed was something in the shower because they get distracted in the shower. My 15-year-old, he's carving with the soap in the shower this last week. He's like making all sorts of stuff, and I'm like, okay, we have 5 bars of soap. Now we have 20,000 chunks of soap. What are you doing? He said, I'll buy you dollar soap if you want to carve with soap, right? So, but they get distracted in the shower. There's 1,000 things. And then I can think of what teenagers do in the shower too. So, but anyway, so this is a good visual piece. It's simple, right? Anybody potty train their kid using Cheerios in the toilet? Why do you put the Cheerios in the toilet for a boy? Yeah, they aim at it. Visual, right? Okay. Why do they? Not that many women go in the guy's bathroom very often, but there's some they have a bullseye thing, right? You know what guys do? They aim for the middle. Okay. So sensory stuff. This is really, really important, and this is one book that I give to all my parents, and it's Simple Strategies That Work, and you can look at it afterward. It's got about a dozen strategies in it, and it's very simple and easy to read. And anyway, one of the things in here is this thing about sensory stuff. And sensory is really, really important because it affects us every day. Okay? We have lots of sensory input. So when Jordan was talking about, and I knew what he was talking about, but I'm sure everybody was like, oh, okay, so talk to this person, then try and listen to everybody else. So, and then try and talk to everybody else. But anyway, that's what it's like for some individuals on the autism spectrum. They got lights and sounds, and there's a fuzzy in their sock. People, did I talk about the fuzzy sock last week who was here?
Yes.
So a little kid who could point to a fuzzy in his sock that was bigger than all the other fuzzies in his sock. So his mom's taking scissors and cutting the fuzzies down to size. Now guess how many pairs of socks he wears? Like 2, right? Because she goes buy socks and has to trim all the fuzzies. And I thought, most people think that's ridiculous. She just wears your sock. He's so sensitive, he can actually point to the fuzzy that's bigger than all the other fuzzies. And sure enough, it's bigger than all the other fuzzies, and you pluck it off, and he's good to go. Okay.
Better to cut them than to have them pull them and unravel their socks.
Yeah. So, t-shirts, they got tagless t-shirts, right? Oh, thank God. Right? So, okay. Why? Because the tag annoys you. How many of you ripped the tag out and ripped your shirt? Right? Okay. So imagine everything you wear feels like that all the time. Okay. Your socks, your pants are making a noise, won't be a noise you can hear. This computer actually makes a little tiny noise when the fan's going. But I had one in my office, and a kid could hear it. He said, oh, what's that noise? And it was an older one, so it was been around a while. And we're looking around my office because he could not focus on the session because of this noise. It was my old computer, and the fan had come on and had a slight whirring noise. So I had to turn it off before he would focus in the session. Okay. And then I'm in my office, and the air conditioner's on, and it's making a clunky noise. So I had to turn it off, and it was like 90 degrees, and we're trying to have a session, but now you can focus, right? So smells, okay? Smells, taste, touch, texture, the seat you're sitting in. Sometimes people turn off the TV, my kid has the TV on all the time, so I come home after, if it's been a long day, I turn everything off because I need it to be quiet. Okay. That's sensory stuff. So there's and I could talk forever about sensory stuff, but that is a huge piece of that. Sometimes sensory things set kids off. The lunchroom. Anybody sat and had lunch with a kid in a lunchroom in elementary school? It's nice and quiet. Okay? Peaceful? Right? Okay? No. And then what happens? Everybody talks, and everybody talks louder, and they talk louder, and they talk louder, and nobody can hear anything, and then the teachers get mad, and everybody gets quiet, and then they get louder and louder and louder, and everybody gets quiet, and then louder, louder. Okay? Those are sensory things. Right? Sensory overload. Okay? Which direction do you go? Right? Those are sensory things. So please don't run into walls. I actually had a little girl who ran into walls. She needed a deep pressure. So we got her into an OT, did lots of deep pressure work. And then I can tell you a little story, don't have enough time. Okay, here's a couple big pieces. Balanced agenda. Okay, how many people love to work 80 hours a week? 50? I'd love to work one day a week, between 10 and 12. Okay. So part of it is you work too much, what happens? You're drained. Okay? So kids on the autism spectrum only have so much energy, and you have to balance their agenda between what's really important and what is really important. Okay? Because everything that they need to do is important, but sometimes you got to balance it out. You have to build breaks in there. You have to know when to challenge them, but when too much is too much. Okay? Because you've got to challenge them a little bit. And that's one of the challenges I have with schools, and some people I work with, it's like, well, I know they can do it. And I said, yeah, I know they can do it, but he doesn't have the energy to do it. Okay, so let's find a new way to teach him the skill. All right. Here's a pretty good one. So activities. So I call it preferred, non-preferred activities. So if you get it, what I try to do with kids is I give them something they want to do, that they really like to do, is the first activity we get to do. Okay, why? Because they get very excited about it. And then I take that energy and I do something they don't want to do. So they go, oh, and then I give them something they want to do and they're happy. And I give them something they don't want to do. So it's like an emotional roller coaster, right? So it's called preferred, non-preferred tasks. Sometimes I might do non-preferred tasks because the kid will work harder for the preferred thing. So you can flip-flop with that, okay? So hey, I would do a video games because guess what? You're gonna get to a save point. Well, I thought you were a save point an hour ago, okay? So, but there's ways to break things down into preferred, non-preferred activities. Okay, that's an easy strategy. And you could do 2 math problems, now you get to play a board game. And in a board game, we're gonna count how many spots there are, right? There's ways to do some of these activities. One of the simplest strategies I've done is I've taken a piece of paper with math problems in it, and I folded it down so there was just one line of math problems. Mm-hmm. And the kid did it. But when we unfold the paper, he's like, I gotta do 30 problems? Oh my God. Okay, it's overwhelming. How many of us look at our to-do list and, summer's coming, okay, right? So you get all these projects you gotta do, right? So sometimes what you do is you focus and you just break it down into small parts. Fold the page in half, whatever. Here's a quick thing is don't do a 2-sided page. Sometimes kids are like, here, do this side and that side. So I don't let them see what we're doing. Okay. Highlighter, bright paper. Parents that I work with, sometimes I give them little 3x5 cards, and I have some with me today. And they put important things I want the kids to work on there. Why? Because when they put it on their fridge, it stands out from everything else. Okay. What color are the crosswalk signs? Yellow. Anybody see the new fluorescent yellow ones? Yeah. They're huge difference, right? Huge difference. So, all right. So I'll talk, this is one of the big pieces that parents struggle with is pick up your room. Okay, when I talked earlier, what's listening? Tell them to pick up your room is, right? So sometimes what I get parents to do is you have to be very specific and very concrete. So pick up all your cars and put it in the toy box. Okay? Because some kids on the autism spectrum can't organize where to start. Okay, I'm notorious when I clean out my garage. I'm like, oh, I'll clean that, I'll clean that, I'll clean that, and I get everything out of my garage. And my wife showed me out. She's like, we were just supposed to put everything back in the garage. And I'm like, well, I want to get the stuff out of the house, and I go on and on and on. And now I have a huge project. So kids on the autism spectrum can be like that. Is they don't know where to start or where it stops. So there's a start and stop, very specific. Okay, clean up this space. Pick up all your clothes and put them in the laundry basket. Okay, pick up your clothes is not specific enough. You need to be specific. So here's something. Move a locker. Move a locker for a kid that I work with. They're having behaviors just about every day, every week. 0. Moved his locker from a busy part of the hallway where it was noisy, people bumping into him, to a corner that was quiet. It took us a whole year to get to school to move the locker. Okay. This is the best year he's ever had. Okay. So sometimes simple is easy. It doesn't have to be complex. Okay. It's gonna have a quiet space outside the room. Ear mufflers, great. But when you're a teenager, can you walk around Great Falls High with ear mufflers on? No, it's not gonna happen. Okay. But so those are some ideas. I showed this to everybody the other day. Big hole in the paper, right? I showed this to Jordan, and Jordan said, oh, it looks like my handwriting. Okay? And there's a hole in the paper, because this kid's like, I have to write this perfect. I've got to fit it in this little bitty square. Okay? And part of the issue with kids on the autism spectrum or individuals is obsessive compulsive kind of behaviors where they've got to get it exactly right. And look at the paper, it's folded over, he's written 1,000 times, and all of his homework looks like this. Well, not all, math homework does, okay? So we did a simple intervention, and I meant to show a picture, but I got a picture. This is his homework now. So what I did, increased the size of the squares, which took about 1.5 years. Okay, right?